30th, 2024, officers were dispatched to a weapons disturbance call in Harris County, Texas. The caller advised that he observed a group of juveniles with a handgun after walking into a Texaco gas station. The caller asked the defendant if he had a gun, to which the defendant stated yes, and that he had it for protection. The officer observed the group walking away from the gas station and activated his lights and sirens. The defendant began to evade upon seeing the officer. The officer had prior interactions with the defendant and knew him by sight and name. The officer later was able to locate the defendant at his residence.
So you said that he goes into a gas at Texaco.
So, Your Honor, the complainant was walking into Texaco and observed the defendant with another group of juveniles outside the gas station with a handgun. And then
Okay, so who has the handgun?
the handgun is with the defendant. And the defendant,
He has a handgun?
yes, the defendant said he had that for his protection.
Read it again.
Yes, Your Honor.
I must be confused. Read, please.
Yes, Your Honor. The officer was dispatched to a weapons disturbance call in Harris County, Texas. The caller advised that he observed a group of juveniles with a handgun after the complainant walked into a Texaco gas station.
So this is an unknown caller.
Yes, it is the caller.
And, hey, I saw a gun here.
I saw a gun with a group of juveniles. And the caller asked the defendant if the defendant had a gun, to which the defendant stated yes, that he had it for protection. And then the officer observed the group of juveniles walking away from the gas station and activated his lights and sirens. And the
That's when
defendant,
they all scam.
yes, Your Honor.
You were on bond for 3 felony cases. I have to imagine that one of the conditions that you're on bond for is no weapons. And now you've picked up another case.
So,
Stop, don't sing. Mr. Joyal, I'm going to find that there's probable cause to go forward with your case. What time of day or night was this?
Your Honor, let me check the office report. Your Honor, it appears to be at, I apologize, I don't know military time, but 13:26 hours.
It's 1 in the afternoon.
1 in the afternoon, Your Honor.
So he's got the 3 felony cases upstairs. They're all no weapons as well. You need to understand that by picking up this case, it's very possible that they revoke your felony bonds and raise them. And if that happens, 3 felony warrants are going to issue for you. So you need to get with your lawyer extremely quick. No, don't. But I am ordering you now as a condition of your bond not to be in possession of weapons. And I'm also ordering you not to use or consume any alcohol or dope. And I'm going to drug test you today because I want to know what, if anything, is in your system. You're to come right back and then we'll talk about your lawyer situation. Do you understand?
yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
I was appointed on this case today.
Okay.
Judge, I wanted to see if we could hear probable cause on this. I have an issue with him being arrested for this. I wanted to see if we could hear that.
What's your problem?
Judge, if I may, so this OR reads, a group of individuals have a gun. It's impossible. A group of individuals can't have a gun. Somebody, one person has a gun. Now, furthermore,
So that alerts the officer of a problem, and then he comes to do a further investigation. I get that in and of itself is nothing, but then they go to do a further investigation, right?
If I can make another argument, Judge, the person states that he talked to the person that has the gun, specifically talked to the one person that has the gun, and he stated, I have the gun for what,
For
my protection?
Yes, for protection.
That's him.
No. it's not
You
him.
told me it's him.
The initial caller stated he asked the defendant if he had a gun, and then that's when the defendant stated yes, and he had it for protection. In the DIMS, it says the defendant.
It's not, there's 2 defendants. There's 2 people arrested. One that actually had the gun. My client doesn't have the gun. He was arrested for evading. There's no gun on him. The other gentleman was arrested for possession, I believe. A Mr. Kenneth. If you look at the OR, it's in there. There's somebody else was arrested. He wasn't found with the gun. It's not my client.
Well, it says that the defendant was identified by the caller from prior booking photographs. And the caller was the one who said that the defendant had the gun.
Yes, Your Honor. It was the caller that identified the defendant and the one that spoke to the defendant who had the firearm. And they were shown booking photos, and they identified the defendant, Mr. Joyal.
Judge, I asked that they look at the OR and see who actually got arrested for possessing the gun.
Judge, I think it was the co-defendant that had the gun. He's the one that was charged with unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. This defendant,
The other co-defendant has the gun.
I believe so, but that doesn't justify this defendant running away after they've established probable cause to detain. That's the state's argument in our position for probable cause.
What was he doing wrong?
Somebody had a gun, that gives them.
Get it. So that's why that person got arrested. But
That didn't just happen in that order. It's not, they stopped, they detained people.
I was under the impression that he had the gun, and that's why I found probable cause. Not that someone else had the gun and he's just standing there. He's like standing while black. You know,
He
he's like,
specifically talked to the person that had the gun,
hey,
identified
if
who
you
that
can
person
show
was.
me something that he's doing something wrong, then okay. But I was under the impression that he did that and then he takes off, hence the evading. If he's, take your time, there's no rush, right? But if he's doing something wrong,
Yes, Judge.
and then they're gonna investigate him for doing something wrong and he takes off, that's a different question. But if he's doing nothing wrong and just standing there, no.
And this guy that they talked to
Hold on.
admits.
I get it. Let me see if they have anything else. If not, then I'm gonna cut them loose.
Sounds good, Judge. Have a seat, please.
Okay.
Judge, so I'm going off of the OR. There's a couple of descriptions that are in here. So, first, there's two people that seem to be involved. One is the store clerk, and then one is the person that says he sees somebody dumping a gun. Now, we don't know what description is what, but under the point where it says prohibited weapon suspect, the suspect was described as a black male wearing a black shirt and two-tone colored jeans. It doesn't say who's making this description, whether it's the convenience